Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, those of us here in the room tonight, and those of us that are able to join us tonight on our live stream. I'd like to welcome everyone on behalf of a few folks. We have the Junior State of America group from the high school, their chapter, joining us tonight as part of our moderators. And also we have the Waukesha County Young Republicans represented. There's also a couple of our moderators. So they're also welcoming you. Oconomowoc Citizens Represented is an organization here in Oconomowoc helping make people aware of different things within elections and things that are happening in our community. So they're helping sponsor the live stream tonight. So we appreciate their input and helping put this together. Myself, Neal Ninmann, I'm a former candidate and involved in the community on a couple different levels. So I'm really excited to be a part of this. And really a special thank you to our hosts tonight, Cornerstone Sports Pub and Eatery, and to John Sutner. Very graciously offered the room sponsored water if you'd like this evening. They're a great part of the community, and I think as John has said in some of his commercials, they really are a cornerstone. So shameless plug for them. They are a full service catering and event space, sports pub and eatery. So if you get a chance on your way out, grab something to eat or drink. They really appreciate it. So we just want to thank them again for offering the room for us. So I've been asked a lot of why we're doing this and what was the purpose of it. Well, the forum tonight is really about these candidates up here and the opportunity for the community to learn more about them. Obviously, we are living in the age of social media, and a lot of things go back and forth, and a lot of times that isn't always understood the right way or it's misunderstood. So I think this is a great opportunity to hear right from them. As a candidate last year, we had one small event, and there was this pandemic thing that happened, so things kind of got cut off. So things just we didn't get a chance to really let the community know who was who and what was what. So this is where the brainchild for this came from. So hosting this event to get to know them and really some of the positions on relevant topics to our community, to our schools, and how that really goes forward. And us as community members making decisions, we're the ones electing them. So we have to live with that decision. So I think the more and more we have an opportunity to inform people and get their opinions, the better off we all are as a community. During this event, I hope this is a step really to improve our election involvement here in Oconomowoc. Traditionally, our turnout for these type of things hasn't been great, but we need to own it. We need to be a part of it. So these are just more steps towards that. Really, because our kids deserve it, the administrators and teachers deserve it, our coaches, and certainly taxpayers and the business community really deserve to have the answers that these folks are going to share with us tonight. And really to thank them for being here tonight. We appreciate them taking their time and for them running for office. It's, as we all know, not a real thankful job some days. And then when you get thrown into the fire with things that we've had to deal with over the past year, this year now we're finding a new superintendent, it's not easy. So we thank them for their commitment to not only serving and potentially serving, but really to put yourself out there. We appreciate that. All right, quickly, we have some format and ground rules I'd like to go over tonight. Format. We're going to do 2-minute introductions. Each candidate will have a chance to introduce themselves quickly. And then after that, we're going to go through a round of questions. Each candidate will get the same question from the moderators. They're going to bounce back and forth. And each candidate will have an opportunity to answer that question. And about 2 minutes, we'll try to warn you as we get close. Because I'm sure you don't like to talk, most of you, so we'll try to keep it that way. And we're going to do the fantasy football snake method. It'll start on one end, question 1, question 2 comes back, and so on and so forth. We're going to try to get through as many of the prepared questions as we can. And speaking of those questions, where did they come from? We had that question already. The questions came from the community. We gathered some stuff through Citizens Represented page. I actually quizzed a few existing board members and had them ask some questions of what their soon-to-be fellow board members wanted to know. And I also put a few questions in, and a few people, we did the vetting to make sure that they were good questions, that they weren't attacking each other, and that they were an opportunity to really get to as many topics as we could cover. So that's how we came up with that. After we're done with that round, we're going to have some fun. We're going to do a lightning round. You basically get 1 or 2 word answers. That's it. We're going to do a lot, really fast, a lot of fun.
That's
so.
Gonna be hard.
I know. So sorry, but I'm putting you on the spot. But again, kind of the idea behind it was more topics, more questions, we know where you stand. And then each of the candidates will be given 2 minutes to come to the podium and give a closing remark. All right, before I introduce our moderators this evening and we get on to the introductions, I hate that this has to be said, but it has to be said. Please be respectful. Obviously, we live in a day and age where sometimes conversations about politics or schools gets a little heated, whether it's on social media or whether it's on, in the newspaper, any of that kind of stuff. So just be respectful of the candidates and their responses. I'm not Chris Wallace, and this is not a presidential debate. So we don't have enough time for rebuttals back and forth. So obviously we're here to hear what they have to say, and it's to all of our advantages to do that. So please, obviously if you like something, you want to clap a little bit, obviously that's great. Not too much booing, please. And certainly, don't shout out feedback, just be respectful. It's for all of us. Obviously we have a live stream taking place as well, so any of that feedback and extra noise hurts the live stream, so we want to make sure that those folks that aren't able to be here with us tonight for the reasons that they chose or they couldn't make it tonight, it's also going to be recorded and be able to play back, so if you missed it, we have that opportunity. But in order to manage the video and audio, we appreciate that from the room. All right, without further ado, we'll make some quick introductions to our moderators. So again, once I said earlier, we have 2 students from Oconomowoc High School, and they are part of JSA. So we have Mac and we have Izzy. Quick little something you want to say, like why JSA and why you're here, just real quick.
All right, hi everyone. Is the mic working?
There you go, a little bit closer.
All right, my name is Mac Tosin. My pronouns are they, them. And I joined JSA because I wanted to be prepared to make a difference in this world, especially as I'm getting older and entering the real world. And I wanted to be well prepared, and I think the club is just really excellent. And we learn a lot every single meeting, so, yeah.
Hi, I'm Izzy. My pronouns are she, her. I am super excited to be here tonight. I joined JSA as a sophomore because I wanted to help fight political apathy within our community. I want to engage youth in political conversations that may be hard to have, but they're discussions that we need to have, and JSA has been an amazing way to get the message out to fight apathy. And I'm very excited to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to say thanks to their advisor, Ms. Cassie Brooks. We appreciate you letting us have your gang here tonight. So and all for your work with the JSA group. It's a fun group. So thank you. Waukesha County Young Republicans also is represented tonight with Christina and Kyle. So I'll let you introduce yourselves.
My name is Christina Nelson. I am the secretary for the Waukesha YR's chapter, and I'm the vice chair for the state. I also serve as chief of staff for State Representative David Steffen in Madison.
Hi, my name is Kyle. I am the chair of the Waukesha County Young Republicans, as well as the national committee man for the state chapter, as well as legislative assistant for State Senator Julian Bradley.
Excellent, thank you very much, and I really thank you for being a part of this tonight. I think the more we get more people involved, and obviously the younger faces up here, is really great to see, so that we continue to, kind of like Izzy said, get people more involved and less apathy. It's going to make our community better. It's going to make these decisions a lot more fruitful for the future. So without further ado, the people you came here to see tonight, we'll let you guys do your introductions. So go ahead, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone who came out to be a part of this tonight. Thank you to you guys for moderating and asking the questions.
There you go. I know it's scary.
I'm a parent in the district, and I've told a lot of people as I've talked to people as the pandemic's gone on, I wasn't one that paid attention to what was going on with Ward. It wasn't something that I was overly concerned with. I was very happy with my children's school. I didn't have a ton of complaints about the district, and I didn't pay attention. And when we had the parent survey and then we went back to school, I decided that I needed to pay attention. Before that, my main job has been starting and running a small business. Started the business in 1998 and came to Wisconsin, never had been here, and came here and started it. And that's what I've spent most of my time doing. Lived in Wisconsin, or in Oconomowoc for 7 years. In that time, I've been fortunate enough to serve on the OPEF board and help with the grant program that OPEF does. And I've also been on the YMCA Facilities Committee and the Annual Campaign Committee. So I like to be involved in the community as much as I can. And that's what I can tell you about me.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Karnowski. I've been on the board for 6 years now, and believe it or not, I am the most senior member. Every year since, there's been a new member voted in, and so I'm the oldest, I guess, with 6 years. I moved to Oconomowoc 20 years ago. My husband was born and raised here. He graduated from OHS. He was the baby of five kids, and all of my brother and sister-in-laws graduated from OHS. So when my husband and I were looking on where to put our roots down, he strongly impressed upon me that he wasn't leaving this town. And so I very quickly fell in love with this place. And service has always been a part of my life. It's been part of my husband's life. He was on the Oconomowoc Fire Department at the time, which is now Western Lakes. And I quickly joined his side and served with him on the fire department for 7 years. Until our kids were born, and then it became pretty complicated to volunteer work and be a mom with a traveling husband who was also still at the department. So long story short, I was needing to find a new passion for service, and there was an appointment that became available on the board. And so I applied, and I was given the position in January of 2015. And then I ran unopposed in April of 2015. And I've been on the board ever since. I've loved every minute of it. I am really hoping to serve another term for you guys. Sorry, I thought you were waving at me that my time was done. As you can tell, I really like to talk. But that's pretty much it about me. If you have any questions, all my contact info is easy to find. Please reach out, give me a phone call, shoot me an email. I'm always happy to get back to you.
Hi, is it working? Okay.
Yep, that close, there you go.
Okay. Oh, I talk loud, so I don't want to deafen anybody in here. I'm Alexandra Schweitzer. I am also a candidate, new this year. I had a prepared statement that I was going to read, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I am the wife of a business owner here in Oconomowoc. They moved into Oconomowoc about a year ago from North Lake. I spent most of my time married, which is almost 19 years, as a stay-at-home mom. My oldest is almost 17, excuse me. She's really the light of our life, and she's one of the reasons, although she's not in this district, she is one of the reasons why I'm interested in running for the school board. My two younger children were in district. My youngest still is. My middle child had to leave because of the failures of the current board, not Jim or Jessica, but the majority of the board in their decision to close the schools. So one of the biggest things that I always have in my mind is Ronald Reagan saying, education is the bulwark of freedom. But when taken away from the parents, it becomes the tool of tyranny. And I fear that we are getting close to that now. So it is my intent to right that wrong. And I hope tonight I can convince you that you should vote for me. And that's all I have to say.
Good evening. I'm James Wood. Most people call me Jim.
Jim, closer.
Close.
There you go.
Jim Wood, running. I started running for school board back in 2016, basically when my second daughter was born. She was like 1 year old, and I wanted to be involved in their education. And so I went and took a meeting with Dr. Rizzo, and he mentioned that they had the finance or the facilities advisory committee going on at that time, and that I could join that. So I did. I said, "What about the school board thing?" He was like, "You can run, but there wasn't a whole lot of movement on the board back then." So I ran in 2016. I made it through the primary, but I did not get through. Ran again in 2017, didn't make it through the primary. And so, you know, because I thought every board member should have the chance to beat me, I ran again in 2018. And so that was very similar to this year. That was a change election year. We moved on from our high school principal. We got rid of a very popular theater teacher that year. And that year we had that white privilege essay that really blew up in our community in regards to you know, it's how it was proctored. So it's not me, it's you. So I was fortunate to get on the board because they were looking for change that year, and here I am 3 years later in another year with a lot of tumult with the go back to school decisions that we made and the changing of now a superintendent 2 years into a 5-year strategic plan, which doesn't make any sense to me. So again, I look forward to looking very closely at all the people we have on this board and looking for trustees, looking for people who can find good educational leaders and empower them to run our district and stop managing them. That's why I'm rerunning again this year.
Okay, thanks everyone. I guess it's time to let the games begin. So, like I said earlier, we're going to have bouncing questions between our JSA team and our YR team. Each one of you gets 2 minutes to answer. We're going to get a little high sign when you get close to the end. We'll be somewhat nice to you and let you finish your thoughts. Jess, we'll make sure we.
Can you just add a little, may the odds ever be?
May the odds be ever in your favor. Yeah. Let's hope it's not that tonight. So, so we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. And again, I think the idea, once again, is to get information out as much as we can. I think we have some really good questions. And if you need the question repeated, just speak up and repeat it. So, all right. Question number 1. Let's get started.
Awesome. All right. Why do you want to run for the school board, and what strengths do you bring to the school board?
I decided to run. I have 2 daughters that are in the district. I have a daughter that's a sophomore and a daughter that's in 5th grade. Like I said in my introduction, we moved here and I really enjoyed the town and the district and was really happy with how things were going. And when we got into trying to get the kids back to school, I just didn't feel that I couldn't get an answer from most people on the board as to what they needed to see for that to happen. During that time, I came home from work one day and my daughter handed me a transfer slip that she had filled out to go to another district because she didn't feel that she was getting what she needed for her education. And at that time, I started to consider it. And then when the vote happened to go back, there were some things that happened during the vote, and I said that the board needs some leadership, and there's members on that board that need help with leadership. And so that was when I made my decision to run and decided that I'm going to, if nothing else, I'm going to go through this process and try to make a difference. Whether I get elected or not, I plan to stay involved and make a difference. What I think I bring to the board as a person who, with his family, started a business when I was in college in my parents' basement. And we've now grown that business to cover 4 states, and we have locations in multiple states. I think that I bring leadership to the board. And I think I can bring oversight to the board, realizing that that's our role. It's not to do the work of the administration, it's to be oversight for the administration.
Matt?
So I wanted to rerun because I feel like the community needs to have a voice. And since I've been on the board, I've always been open to all conversations. And I feel like I bring that to the board table. I have built a lot of relationships in this community and in the district itself with our administration, our teaching staff, and I want to find a way to bridge that community and staff component, right? So I found a way to be able to do that. And a lot of my strengths lie in my ability to communicate with people, to understand, to find common ground, to help build that bridge. I also like to start what I finish, or finish what I start. And either way, it works. Just go with the flow. And I feel like we're in the middle of a lot of really great things in this district that I would love the ability to see through. And especially with now having to hire a new superintendent and us deciding at the last board meeting that we were going to hire an interim for a year, it's going to be a long process. And we need to make sure that we find the right fit for us, for the district, for the administration, for the teachers, for the parents, the community as a whole. It's a staple job in this community, and we can't just pick anybody. There needs to be community involvement, there needs to be staff involvement. Oh, this is giving me the content. Anyway, and I have the most years experience.
You're old, right?
I actually think I'm probably the oldest one in this room.
I won't argue.
Sold.
Nice bridge, nice bridge.
I decided to run because I feel that our education system has been lost in social justice and progressive ideology.
Yeah.
I would like, my vision is parent input and excuse me, I got sidetracked there. My vision is parent input and approval of curriculum, not the politicians and unions making decisions on what is best for our students. We need to get these young men and women prepared for their future. Social justice programs and progressive ideology have been an abysmal failure. I envision an American society, not a society divided by race, religion, and politics, and that is currently where our school system is at, and I would like to see it end.
I kind of went through why I decided to rerun the board, but it basically came down to my kids. You know, I want to make a difference for them. I think I got a decent skill set to add to the board. I bring a real different perspective. I'm in the trades industry, and I value multiple paths to success in life. I think schools need to be more than just academic driven. I think they need to develop character. I think they need to develop grit. They need to work with the parents to develop the kind of human beings that we want in our community. So other skills I bring, I'm a good listener, good facilitator. I only been on the board for 3 years, kind of like what Jess said, and been the chairman of the finance committee for the last 2 years. We don't have a whole lot of people on the board who bring, these financial and skills to the table. So I stepped up and brought some of that stability to a board that literally likes to get right into the administration's work. So I think I would love to bring more of that skill set of pulling back, getting to that 50,000 foot level and writing more policy and finding a good district administrator that can do the day-to-day, and we trust them to do that within the policies that we write.
You get the next question. Question number 2.
An independent consultant hired by the district recently noted that some board members believe the role of the school board is oversight with guideposts, some members want to be involved in operations, and some feel it should be both. What do you believe the role of the school board is and why?
Yes, yeah. After 3 years of training by 3 or 4 different sets of consultants, Jess, was 3, yeah, we started with 1, they didn't like that one, so we went on to 2 that we liked quite a bit, but they fired us and said they didn't want to be associated with the OASD, so they sent us a letter and said, we're not going to work with you anymore. So The third consultant is the one that you're talking about. He went through and trained us on governance, and there are two different styles of governance. There's that very hands-on, they call it a delegate, and then there's the trustee, which is more of the hands-off management style. And I truly believe that high-achieving, high-level districts employ a bunch of trustee-style board members that know how to hire a good superintendent, empower that superintendent to be a team builder, a culture builder, and then the school board should be focused on the policy, driving policy that captures the community's fiscal wants and needs, how much you want to spend on the schools, and making sure they drive between that, and then also the social mores of that community, and making sure that the curriculum and the work that's done within those schools falls into the expectations and vision of that community. So that would be my answer to that question, is definitely a trustee board member.
I believe that board members are there to represent the parents. Hang on, put my glasses on so I can see you, glasses off so I can read. Very confusing for me. We're there to represent parents and taxpayers. We're not there to necessarily get along with each other. We're there to make sure that we are representing the people. So when you bring up governance, and as Jim said, there's been 3 different companies that have come in to teach us how to teach the board how to be a cohesive board. I don't quite understand that. If you do the math on that, over $55,000 of taxpayer money has been spent on this. When there are 7 different members of the board, they should be representing the community. They should be listening to their constituents, because each elected board member has different constituents, and they are there to represent them. So we are there for oversight as trustees, not to be making all the rules and all that. We are there to be representing the parents, to show you that we can do your will. So that's my feeling on it.
Great. Yeah, really excellent question. I don't want to be the echo of Jim, but he pretty much said it as it is. It's the board's responsibility to set policy, to be oversight, to be able to see things from that 50,000 foot level, and let our administration, who gets paid quite a bit of money, run the district on the day-to-day stuff. It is not the board's job to be meddling into what they do every day. So that high function of governance, the trustee, is huge. Oversight, seeing policy, but for me, the biggest component of the board is community engagement. What do parents want for their kids? And does that reflect the policy that's written, that's then carried out by the district? So it's very cut and dry when you look at it, but there's a lot of nuances to it as well. A high-functioning board equals a high-functioning district. High-functioning district directly affects your property taxes, your property values. So if you want to have good property value, you need to have a good board. It's that simple. And that's pretty much the breakdown for me. It's the community engagement, it's policy, it's oversight, and looking at the data, how that administration brings back to us. How has our policy affected? Are kids' scores going up? Are they going down? And then how do we need to adjust our policy or budgetary dollars to reflect that?
So it's not really nice to be the first one to go, and I guess it's not nice to be the last. I think what the board's responsibility is, I think it's twofold. I think one, as an elected official, your responsibility is to your constituents, to make sure that you're allowing them to be heard, make sure you're representing them at the board and not your personal interests at the board. I also think that the purpose of the board is to, in some way, set the example for how the district operates. It's not to operate the district. So you have to realize as a board member that you're a part of something larger than yourself. And you're not doing this job because yesterday in the school when my daughter got called to the office right in the middle of one of my questions. So having the ambulance go by is just par for the course. But I think the idea is to realize that
We'll give you an extra 10 seconds.
I think the idea is to realize that you're a part of something bigger. You're representing your constituents. You know, we're spending other people's money, and we've got to make sure that we understand the tremendous responsibility that comes with that. But as part of that, we have to understand that the school is an integral part of our community. You know, and Oconomowoc is a great community, and having a good school, thank you. Having a good school is part of that. And so I think as a board member, it's being the trustee and not the delegate, being the leader and not the boss, and trying to make sure that you can facilitate your constituents' needs with the administration and the district's needs.
Question number 3.
Okay. How do you think the OASD Board of Education is viewed in regard to image, and how do you think that will affect our ability to find a quality superintendent?
That's a very good question, and it's actually something that that I've talked and thought a lot about. I think right now, the way that the board is viewed is somewhat dysfunctional. And I think we have people on the board that are trying, and they're fighting for their constituents, and they're fighting for our kids. I think we have that other people that serve on the board that are fighting for personal interests or personal beliefs. I fear that image will affect our ability to attract quality candidates. I think I, in a discussion last night, learned that there's 70 superintendent openings in the state of Wisconsin, which means we're going to have a lot of competition. And if you're an administrator and you're a leader, you are not going to want to come into a place where you're going to be micromanaged. I don't believe that all is lost. And I believe that if we can get the right people into the right positions, we can kind of get this back on track and get moving in the right direction. And, you know, Oconomowoc is a great community. We should be able to attract the best candidates, you know, because of everything that our community offers.
So this is a really great question. And it's a bit loaded, right, too? Because a lot of people will tell you that the board is very dysfunctional. And some people will tell you that the board is doing just this way.
There you go.
Oh. Hello? That the board is doing just fine. Having been on the board for the last 6 years and seeing how smoothly it ran while I first joined compared to the board meetings now, I would say it's a tad bit dysfunctional. I don't think we should be having 6-7 hour board meetings. And that was not fun for me. Things are better, you know, we're learning, we're growing. Will it affect our ability to hire a good superintendent? I hope not. I think, like Matt said, if we can get the right people in place, I think that we could be a very attractive district. We have got amazing qualities here, and we need to focus on those positives. We have good pay, we have good staff, we have good administration, we have a strategic plan that is out of this world, and we have embraced a set of core values as a board that no other district has done. And so when you look at our qualities and you focus on those, I hope that we can bring and attract an amazing superintendent, despite what is happening at the board level.
Like this? Like this?
Yes.
Okay, so I got a message to talk louder.
Like Pinocchio.
Actually, the first time I've heard anyone's ever said that to me, so it's a little confusing. I agree that the board currently has a reputation as dysfunctional with the 6 and 7 hour board meetings. I zoomed into a couple of them and actually fell asleep because they were very, very long. I'm very thankful that the board made the decision to wait a year to hire a superintendent, because with the right people on the board, we can come together as a cohesive board and become even more attractive than Oconomowoc already is. And we can hire the best of the best.
Okay, question regarding the board reputation and hiring a superintendent. So, yeah, it's a challenge, and that actually factored into part of the decision-making and pros and cons. We actually got to pull out the whiteboard and did the pros and cons of going out and finding the interim versus going out to find somebody now, or our third option was to go out and look for somebody, but then switch to an interim if the candidates pool versus if it wasn't coming together. And so we kind of whiteboarded all of that and took a look at it. And the advantages of finding and taking our time to being delivered were very obvious. And one of the advantages is to get the board straight, to straighten it out, to take to heart all the work that we've done on this governance training, all that investment you put into us to date. It basically, it comes down to the previous question and really getting back to what it's going to take for us to govern as a high-performing board and changing the mindset to do that. And you know, being that this has gone on for 3 years, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if people are willing to or what. So at some point, it turns to the community to make those decisions. And like I said, take a strong, hard look at the people you're putting on their view. This is our chance this year, this election cycle, to pick 43% of the selection committee, which is huge. And so you're really picking the leaders who will pick the leader of our district. And so I think if we look long and hard at who's doing it, I think we can take the board's reputation from a negative to a neutral, which would be awesome.
Next question is a curriculum question.
Many school districts are struggling to find a balance between traditional academic subjects and including non-traditional and social topics as part of the curriculum. How do you see your role on the board in regard to influencing curriculum initiatives?
Excellent question. So, as just mentioned, the board meetings are very long, and there's a lot that goes into it. They send us a board packet pretty much like the Thursday before a committee meeting, like I'm on the finance and operations committee. So they'll send us a board packet before that, and they'll send us the board packet for the board meeting on that Thursday to Friday as well. And again, you get summaries of what's going on, and so I'll get like the curriculum stuff sent to me. And it's a nice summary of the data that they use. That we do. They do excellent work in our district, our administrators, making data-driven decisions. But they don't send you the textbook. They don't send you the actual curriculum that they're suggesting to go to. And so to say, you're on board, you approve that, yeah, I did, because those people that I trusted to pick that out, picked out that curriculum. And so what we need to do to make sure that what we're doing is making sure that the curriculum not only is effective academically, but it's also the social curriculum that we want taught to our kids, is to write policy and to ensure that our kids are being taught in a manner that our community appreciates, the vision of our community, if you will. So if we want our kids to leave the district with you know, a love of their community and a love of their country and patriotic stuff, you got to write a policy about that. You want them to have those tougher conversations and parents to have the rights to pull their kids out. We got to write a policy about it. And so we got to get out, we got to stop diving into the nuts and bolts of when we should go buy a greenhouse, because that's none of our business. The curriculum shouldn't tell us when we need to buy a greenhouse. And we should be writing policy that decides what, I tried it.
Sorry, yeah,
It's just wireless.
Okay.
Wireless works sometimes. That's all right. And so, yeah, we need to write policy that'll help guide the district people so that when they pick policy, it matches our vision.
Kyle, can you read that question to me again?
Yeah, you look yell loud. The mics are interfering, that's the problem.
Many school districts are struggling to find a balance between traditional academic subjects and including non-traditional and social topics as part of the curriculum. How do you see your role on the board in regards to influencing curriculum initiatives?
Well, to me, this is very simple. We need to talk to the parents. Parents need to decide what their children are being taught in school. As a representative of the parents, I think we need to go to them. I will go to them and say, what exactly is it that you want? Do you want the progressive ideology?
All right, I'll be Van White and run back and forth.
Do you want the progressive ideology and social justice, or do you want the classic education that I have been speaking about for weeks now? Can you hear me without it?
Yeah.
It's
pretty loud.
Okay.
Better without it.
So yeah, I think so. That's it. I think we need to talk to the parents, because parents no longer have a say in their children's education, and the most important thing that we can do is give the power back to the parents.
So having served on the curriculum committee since I've been on the board, a lot of what Jim talked about is how it happens. We have a curriculum review cycle, and John Flannery heads that up with his team of teachers, and they develop and bring us a recommendation, and that's when it is then brought to the full board for approval. And so the process in and of itself is very, very simple. I think it's important for parent involvement, but I also think it's important for teacher involvement. And it's a nice collaborative effort between the two. Because when you are in the classroom with the kids on an everyday basis, whether you think it's in the curriculum or not, there are social issues that our kids are learning every day from their peers and the staff. And so it doesn't have to be melded into a certain curriculum in order to be embraced and give your child a well-rounded education. But it's really important to remember that the board sets the policy, and we do approve the curriculum, but what is being taught in each individual classroom is something that is overseen by that teacher. And so, and I think the teachers in this district have a really good sense of what is appropriate teachings and what I guess would be considered social justice, or I just keep relating to what's happening right now, the craziness in Elbrook. That's not happening here. We have a good system in place that's structured well, and if you look at our agendas, everything is open meetings. And so if there's something that you are wanting to address or something that's happening, just shoot an email. It doesn't have to be this big, blown out, like, we're going to accept all of it's not like that here. It's very organized when it comes to that. And do we need to set stronger policy that embraces some of the communities, what's the word? I don't want to say like not will, but yeah, parental input. We have not had, community desires. We have not had a good community engagement since I've been on the board. The development of our strategic plan was the only time that I've seen people show up. And after we had the whole white privilege thing, we had a social engagement, but I didn't feel like it was a fair representation of our community. And so we need, as a community, we need to come together and start embracing each other's differences and know that we're gonna have difference of opinion and have civil conversation around what, I'm wrapping it up, Melissa, around what we want for our kids. And I can guarantee you, after working with the people that I've worked with for the last 6 years, it will be embraced.
No disrespect, we just gotta keep moving.
I know, I'm moving.
Fantastic.
So when I decided to kind of go down this path, one of the first people that I met with was John Flannery. And I went in and I met with John because I wanted to learn what curriculum we were using. You know, I didn't want to just throw out the buzzword of Common Core. I didn't want to say that's bad, that's good, this is bad. Yeah. I wanted to actually know what we were using, why we were using it, why it was chosen. You know, and one of the first things I learned is that if we have the power, if we want to change curriculum as the parents, as the taxpayers, okay? If you want to build on what Jess said, you have to be involved in that. And I'm not sitting here lecturing you on you need to be involved. I wasn't involved. But we're all paying attention now. So the other thing we have to understand as the community and as the parents of people in the school is that our curriculum, our schools are graded. Okay, people talk about how does our school rank to KM? How does our school rank to Arrowhead? How does our school rank to the other Classic 8 schools that we compete with? You know, and those rankings are based on how our kids perform in their testing. And so if we're going to test our children on, and then we're going to rank our schools, we need to teach them what they're going to be tested on and what we're going to be ranked on. And that's how we pick the curriculum that we pick. You know, and the curriculum that we're using now is the Wisconsin Educational Standards. I've been trying to read through all of them. I think I said the actual name right, but you know, it's pages and pages and pages of each area of study. I don't think that curriculum is the place that we try to advance social issues. Okay, I don't think it is built into the curriculum that's taught. I don't think that means that we can't address social issues. Okay, and if we have students that have concerns that it can't be brought up and talked about, but I don't know that it gets addressed through forced addressing through the curriculum.
All right, next question. It's a COVID question. I know we're probably all sick of COVID, but it's a COVID question, so. Izzy, go ahead.
After the school board and pandemic mitigation canceled the traditional in-person educational model last year, what was your position and what actions did you and will you take to support students and staff for the remainder of the 2020 school year and into the 2021 through 2022 school year?
So, my position, when the in-person classes were canceled, my position was that we should be in person. I went to the school board meetings. I spoke at the school board meetings. I may have gotten too passionate, I guess, at some of the meetings, but as a parent who has children that go to school in this district, I wanted my children in school. I have a unique perspective in the fact that for my work, I travel multiple states. Okay, and what I noticed as I traveled in multiple states is I could go to water parks and have 2,000 people in a water park, but I couldn't have my kids in school. Okay, and I would go to the state of Iowa where our other office is, and kids are in school. And so, you know, part of being deemed essential early on in the pandemic, and my company we were deemed essential because we provide disinfectants and we provide facility maintenance. I had to get over the fear of going to work immediately. And it was there and it was real, and I don't take that away from anyone. But I had this vision of things that were happening outside of the school bubble and I saw that we could get on and we could live. And if education isn't essential, then nothing's essential.
So, I've never wavered in my decision, about how our kids should go back to school. I voted at the end of June to have them face-to-face. I voted in August to have them go face-to-face. I voted in September to have them go face-to-face. I truly believed that with the mitigation measures that were put into place, our kids could safely return. I also understand that there were some parents that did not feel it was safe, and so I fully supported a virtual option. My job, I felt, as a school board member, is not to tell a parent what they should do with their child. If you want to have them in school, I want to make that option available. If you don't want to have them in school, I want to make a good virtual option available. And so I felt when the board voted to go back hybrid, I know they did it in the realm of safety. However, I felt like there was a group of students who absolutely needed to be there face-to-face that were neglected. And that's why I fought so hard to get them back in September. Even though I voted against being hybrid, I was as supportive as I could be of our staff and our students during that time. I am at a very high level being on the board, and so while I didn't directly maybe have an impact, I tried to emotionally be supportive for the kids and for the staff. Does that answer all? I can't remember if that, so it was, what was your position? And then, would you like to read? And then what will you do to support students and staff?
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure I answered it fully for you.
You're all good. All right, the question reads, after the school board pandemic mitigation canceled the traditional in-person educational model last year, what was your position and what actions did you and will you take to support students and staff for the remainder of the 2021 school year and into the 2021 through 2022 school year?
So nobody really quite knows what next year's school year looks like. We did give teachers an option that were unable to be back in the classroom to be able to teach virtually. Pay was kept intact, whether you taught virtually or you taught hybrid or you were face-to-face. We also are doing a vaccine clinic up at the high school on Friday for all of our teachers, which is great news because once they get their second vaccine, they do not need to quarantine after an exposure. So that will decrease the amount of subs that we need to get. It'll keep the teachers safer. Hopefully give them a little bit more security. And then as far as students, I will always vote for our kids to go back face-to-face. There's no other way to it. Face-to-face is the best education for kids.
All right, Izzy, one more time with the question, please.
All right, the question reads, after the school board and pandemic mitigation canceled the traditional in-person educational model last year, what was your position and what actions did you and will you take to support students and staff for the remainder of the 2021 school year and into the 2021 through 2022 school year?
Thank you. So I wanted the kids in school. I think an overwhelming majority of the parents wanted the kids in school, and not Jim or Jessica, but the rest of the board decided to overrule the will of the parents and close schools. And as a result, we lost kids. They open enrolled into other schools. I took my middle daughter out of Nature Hill and put her in a private school. My husband and I felt we had no choice for her mental and physical health to get her out of the virtual learning. So I was a huge proponent of going back to school. I remain that way. as far as supporting teachers and students, because I see some students in the audience that have masks on, I wholeheartedly embrace that. If you feel safer with the mask on, if a teacher feels safer with the mask on, they should wear it. But we should never force everybody to do one thing, because we are not a one-size-fits-all society. So without education, our children have nothing. We need to make sure that all options are available to them. The overwhelming majority of students want to be in school. They want to learn. It is their right to have that education. And as Jessica said, we've got, they're being vaccinated, which is a good thing because it'll mitigate a lot of fear. That's it.
I'm not going to make it repeat it. I'll interpret it the best I can. So, as I understood the question, how did I feel about canceling last year? Again, that was a year ago. That was 15 days to control the spread. That's when we shut it down. And so I was all in favor of doing it back then because it was 15 days. And then, all right, we took spring break off. We'll be back after that. And then we weren't back after that. And then next thing you know, it consumed a prom, and then it consumed a graduation and shut down the rest of the year. I'm like, okay, that's not happening again. Okay. Then we got back together as a school board and we engaged the teachers, put together these protocols, came out with a plan in June to bring us back to school face to face. And I think we were the first district in the area to vote to come back face to face in June. And I remember texting Roger on my ride home, like, this is what unrivaled feels like, because we were the first to do it. And then it changed, and then it got weird. It got like political, and people, whoa, no, we're not gonna do that. And then all of a sudden people changed, and it was just like, what happened? And literally, like, if you think about what we did in late August, June, like, we're in the middle of enrolling. They're enrolling, they had like these options. You could stay home with the OASB, or you could come virtual face to face. We changed in the middle of enrollment with 48 hours left and said, yeah, it doesn't matter what you put down, we're gonna do hybrid. And it was like, whoa. And we spiked up to 60 cases a day in Waukesha County at that time, which was a fraction of a fraction. It wasn't community spread yet. But again, looking back with 2020 hindsight, you can understand, because you just didn't know. We didn't have metrics to put it against. You know, we got all the way up to like 600 cases a day. That was real. You have to do something then. But so I did. I fought for the face-to-face the whole time, because I knew when we shut it down last year, and I did agree with it, I shut it down with a 4K and a 5K kid at home, and I'm not a teacher. And my kid still doesn't know how to read. My first grade. It's beyond. I'm serious. She's in D books, and the rest of the class is like zooming ahead. And so it's really upsetting. And but I support the teachers, because our teachers never got political. Our teachers took on and were understanding, and they were in hybrid, face to face, and they were open-minded and smart, and they did their jobs, and you got to appreciate that. And so, yes, I will fight next year that these masks don't go on forever, because at some point, the vaccinations are to be readily available, and you got to take care of yourself and stop telling other people what to do. And we're going to go on. We're going to continue to follow the science and follow the experts, which is the Academy of Pediatrics that we did. And that's the whole reason we did what we did. So I appreciate everyone who fought like that and made this the best out of it that it could be.
Awesome.
Well said, Jim.
All right. Our next question is a strategic plan question.
Do you agree with the district's current strategic plan? Explain why or why not.
I do. I do. I think we have an excellent strategic plan. If you remember me talking about the consultant that fired us, they actually still stayed on and helped us facilitate putting together that strategic plan. These were the basically the superintendent of Hamilton, Sussex Hamilton. She's a high achieving district. She knew how to put it together. She helped facilitate that with Roger. We brought in community. We had teachers inside there. We had our building principals. It was inclusive. It was everybody's strategic plan, and we're pointed in the right direction. And like I said, that was 2 years ago. you could see the test grades going up. You can see the pass rates on our AP classes going up. You can see us hitting the metrics of the strategic plan. I think they're called key performance indicators. I don't know, whatever. There's lots of whatever. There's lots of acronyms that I don't know. But you can see it gave us direction, and it was so well put together. And that was my frustration with, regardless of how you see our superintendent, our former superintendent, whatever you want to call him, our lame duck superintendent, however you look at him, the guy was a strategist. He knew how to get us in a position to point the arrow in the right direction. And it just floors me that we could not come together and retain him the second year into a 5-year plan. Because I'm telling you that the goal of that plan is to be an unrivaled district.
It's a great strategic plan. It's unfortunate that Roger's leaving, as Jim has said, because with bringing in a new superintendent, more likely than not, we'll have to come up with a new strategic plan, because most people don't want to follow somebody else's plan. They want to put their own plan in motion. So it's a great strategic plan. We have for sure 1 more year left with it, and hopefully whoever replaces Roger in a year will look at it and say, this is great, let's keep going.
Oh wait, we're not using this anymore.
Just gotta yell at
My do I support the plan? I built the plan. Not me personally, I mean, I was involved, but to be part of that process was something that was incredible. It was built by the community, by administration, by staff, by the board. It has such lofty goals that will take our kids further than they have ever gone before. I am so excited about this strategic plan, and that is why I reran. There are some things in there that I just can't wait to see come to fruition. We got a really amazing jump start on it, and then COVID hit, and I haven't quite seen the numbers, but I think that we still have made some amazing strides even during COVID and during hybrid. The fact that we have a graduate profile and every single teacher in this district can feel invested from 4K all the way up to 12th grade. When our kids come through this district and they are, there is a vision for them so that when they cross the stage, they are made sure that they are life, career ready. It's amazing. If you haven't looked at the plan, please look at it. The interim is not going to have a choice. They are going to follow the strategic plan. We built it for an outlook of 5 years plus without revision. Our staff is committed to it. Our administration is committed to it. And I will not bring an interim superintendent or a superintendent in here that does not embrace this strategic plan. We have too many budgetary dollars set aside for it, and our kids are going great places with this.
So to answer the question, yes, I agree with the strategic plan. As I went through and did this process, and I met with a lot of different people, from administration to teachers to people in the facilities department to people in the athletic department, the one thing that I noticed is that everyone I met with was working towards a common goal, and they were working on the same page. And so to me, that is the strategic plan in action. You know, and if you've been around the high school, you've heard Mr. Curtis say career, college, and life ready. I think I got those 3 in order. You know, and the thing that impresses me most about the strategic plan, but also about the district, is that we're really preparing our children for life outside of school. It doesn't have to be college. You know, we're setting them up to be able to work in the trades if they want to work in the trades. We're setting them up to go to college if they want to go to college, to start a career. We've got amazing things happening in this district, and I think it comes from the fact that everyone in the district is working on this same strategic mission.
Awesome. Next question is a student achievement question. Perfect. A student gets to ask it. That's good.
Everyone wants excellence in our schools. How will you keep a focus on student achievement in the district, given all the other issues that arise for the board to get sidetracked?
So I think the way you look at that is that, and I won't speak for everyone sitting up here, but I think we're doing this for the students. And realizing that we as the board can set the example and set the pace for what's expected of the students, how those students can achieve it, and making sure that we put the tools in place to allow them to achieve what they're looking for. So, a lot of it comes down to the students wanting to put in the work, but I think as the board, our job is to make sure that we provide the platform for that work to be successful.
So some of the fundamental things that have taken place, just as far as student achievement goes, we are updated quarterly. Unfortunately, not now since COVID, but with this new strategic plan, there were quarterly updates of where our kids were at, where they're achieving, where are their gaps, and how are we closing them, just to make sure that we are hitting the data points that, things that are measurable. Okay, that is all presented to us. And it's done in a very organized, routine way. And hopefully after we're done with COVID, and I'm hoping in another couple of months, things that, once they get back to normal, we'll regain those quarterly updates. Those are all open to the public. Of course, we get the student, the school report cards and that kind of stuff. Where we want to be is kind of built into our strategic plan. So again, common goal, that's all where we're headed. But some of the things that I've done as a board member is, I believe that leadership, good leadership, is by example. And so I've tried to be a good leader while I was on the board, to give our administration I want to empower them to do the best that they can, to work in an environment where they are excited to come to work every day, and they know that we have their back, because when we empower them, they empower our kids. So that's just some of the things that I've done since I've been on the board, and things that I think is important for student achievement. It starts at the top.
I think it's safe to say that all of us in this room are invested in the kids and making sure that we have student achievement. So collectively as a board, I think we can come together and be a more cohesive board, because as noted before, the board is rather dysfunctional, which does not help with the student achievement. If there's, as Jessica said, coming from the top, if there's dysfunction, it trickles down, it hits everybody. So I think if we come together, we can definitely encourage the kids, almost push the kids to work harder and give us everything that they have, because we are giving them everything that we have.
Just took my word and power right at the end.
Sorry,
I'm scrambling. So you need to empower the building leaders. And when I say building leaders, I'm not talking about just the principal. We got subject matter experts in there. I think we really have an advantage over our friends from, just east of here, where they're kind of scattered. Every different school is a different school. So literally, you got a Swallow kid, you got a Merton kid, you got all these different kinds. Whereas we have that centralized, where when we have subject matter experts, we can take that expertise and spread that out to every building. And so we can make sure that if we have someone really strong in STEM at Meadowview, that on our professional development days, those are really valuable days that we keep the teachers working and send the kids home. But they basically disseminate what's working well across the whole district, so that everybody gets. So you don't have, well, that's a Summit kid versus a Meadowview kid. What we want to do is even out that playing field so that everybody gets a quality education at all our different schools. That's pushing up to student achievement. So you got your subject matter experts, then you got building level experts. sharing information across. And again, I think that's kind of like what the board's role is to make sure that we're being judicious with those professional development days, to make sure that we're making sure our teachers have that ability to share knowledge base.
Awesome. Governance question. I know we touched on this a little earlier, but we're going to hit it again.
What is your opinion on the type of governance structure needed for school board? Why does that matter?
All right. On October 28, 2019, Dan Nerad, consultant number 3, you guys, he put together he basically went around and interviewed not just the board, he interviewed administrators, he interviewed principals. He was trying to get to the bottom of how he could help us get better together. And he came up with this really small, recommendations and observations that he had. But on page 4 of it, he basically predicted the future. He said there exist significant board member differences regarding the role of board members and overall governance work of the board. These differences are impacting the board's ability to function as a high-functioning governing board. Relying on research and writings about quality school governance, the board should consider, and then he gave me more books to read. So it was basically one of the 2 huge problems that he pointed out, is that we're literally a 3-3 board with one in the middle. And the only thing that changes is the one in the middle. And so what you got delegates who want to manage, and they want to manage the vehicles, they want to manage the projects, they want to manage the curriculum, they want to manage the books, they want to manage everything. And what they do is they do a game of mental gymnastics and say, well, I'm only providing oversight, but for me to do oversight, I need to know what the plan is. And to know what the plan is, I need to have input on the front end of the plan. And so they can basically justify them dictating the plan as oversight. And you're just like, what did you just say? And so at the end of the day, what we truly need to do is get out of those weeds, pull back, and start writing policy. We're so busy writing policy that we don't have the time to make sure that all these plans get together. So that's what a delegate does versus the trustee, which is the trustee would be working on policy and then just asking questions to understand and then approving, but holding them accountable. That's the hardest part, is actually holding someone accountable to your policies and to the oversight. Because if they say it's going to come within budget, it doesn't come within budget. Like, that's where you need to step in.
As I mentioned before, this current board has spent over $55,000 on governance classes on how to be a cohesive board. We don't need that. If we wanted to be a cohesive board, we could just have one board member, because we need all people, all citizens of Oconomowoc represented. If we come together and we have governance and we spend almost $60,000 learning how to get along and make sure that we only have one opinion, then we don't have a board. So I say no to the monolithic approach of governance. I say yes to 7 different people representing the entire community and learning how to make that work.
I pretty much have lived what Jim has lived, so my answer is literally is his answer. That trustee versus delegate mentality, you need to be a trustee in order to be that high functioning board to provide oversight. You need to know where your role is. And you need to have a clear boundary of that. And I think I'm a pretty good trustee. And so that we need to find other people who are trustees and know how to function at that board. Like I said before, a high functioning board is a high functioning district. So you want your kids to achieve, you got to put the people in place who know how to get there. It's an oversight.
I knew you had it.
She uses up her 2 minutes every time.
That's why I'm so short. Keep you on schedule.
We're good.
I think the governance that the board provides has got to be that oversight in the district, not management of the district. So we have great people that work in this school district. We, as the community, you know, the parents, we've made an investment in the school district. And we need to let those people that we have in the right positions do their work. Now, the board needs to be there for oversight to make sure that they're being held accountable for what it is that they're doing, to make sure that we're budgeting responsibly, we're spending money responsibly. But it really doesn't need to be this is how we want it done and why are you doing it that way? So I really look at this as, you know, we've talked a lot about the trustee and the delegate or the leader and the boss. I really look at this as being a leader of something bigger than yourself, being there to provide what is needed when it's needed, not insert yourself because you think that was the right thing to do.
Awesome. So that's 8 questions. We were budgeting for 8, and we're actually doing really well. Most of you have stayed in your 2 minutes. And Melissa's doing a great job. So I'm going to add a question. Let me find the right one. Sorry. We're doing really well. I think it's you guys' turn. It's an odd number, right? So you guys can decide which one we want to read it. I'm in charge, so I get to add questions. So there you go.
One of the largest budget items looming in the near future is replacement of the OHS boiler system, an estimated $15 million project. How should we plan for this replacement if it were to happen in your next 3-year term?
You said 50, right?
15.
15, 1-5.
I don't think that's accurate.
Is that low?
I think, yeah.
Let's assume it's 15
Okay.
for the sake of the question. That's still a pretty darn big number.
I didn't hear the whole question.
Okay, yeah. One of the largest budget items looming in the near future is replacement of the OHS boiler system, an estimated $15 million project. How should we plan for this replacement if it were to happen in your next 3-year term?
We'll roll with the number.
Are you gonna go first?
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's his turn.
So, you know, building operations and building management is always going to be a big portion of what we have to worry about. You know, we've invested and gotten ourselves a lot of new facilities and new schools, but we're also still dealing with older buildings and older facilities. And as part of property management, you're going to have to deal and budget with these types of things. So, you know, I don't think it's feasible to say we're going to start putting, for the sake of discussion, $5 million away, saying it's $15 million for the boiler. But I do think we need to responsibly plan that we have to go down that road. So when the time comes, we don't have to go back to the public and say, we need more money. We need to do another referendum for facilities. You know, so I think it's identifying the problem. Okay, we know this is going to be a problem, and strategically planning for when that replacement can happen.
Yeah, this is a great question. The boiler system up at the high school is original to the building. It has gotten to the point where we have to have parts made just to fix it because you can't get the parts anymore. And when that thing goes, if it goes tomorrow, we will have to come to the public for referendum. But what I will tell you is, and I do think it's more than $15 million, but I'm not going to say how much because I can't remember how much, but we would have to go to referendum. So what we've been doing since it's been available is stockpiling money away in Fund 46, which is a capital maintenance fund that you can put, and we have been saving diligently. We can take money out after 5 years. I believe we're just in our fifth year now.
Starting this coming year.
Yep. And so there aren't any plans to take the money out, and we will just keep saving and keep saving and keep saving so that we don't have to come here for a referendum. And Greg Maru is on top of it, and he does a great job with maintenance. And so hopefully we can just keep those puppies going for a little while longer.
You're good?
I think so.
The capital maintenance fund is great, Fund 46. One asked a question why we have not already been setting money to the side for this. Knowing now that we haven't, other than Fund 46, we definitely need to start, because we just cannot keep going to the taxpayers and asking for more and more money. The last referendum was to build a new Meadowview on the promise that we would sell the old Meadowview. Well, there's solid offers on that building. I talked to another school that's interested in that building, and they're getting stalled. And we cannot keep leading the taxpayers. There's no money there. I live in the town. 77 cents of every dollar that we spend in property taxes goes to the school. How much more can we possibly spend? So we need to start saving now. We need to buckle our belts, tighten our belts, and just tell people, I'm sorry, there's no money. We are saving for this. This has to come first.
So, as I understand, Fund 46 started a couple years before I got on the board. Basically, at the end of every year, what we do is we budget, our administration budgets very conservatively to make sure we have the money necessary to run the schools on a year in and year out basis. And they do a great job of living within that budget and coming in under budget. And so if there is any surplus at the end of the year, the board is given basically two options. One option would be to take the money and put it into the fund balance, which is Fund 10. Fund 10 is the money that we accrue to basically use to pay our bills between September and January when there's no tax revenue. I say tax revenue, it's your money really. When there's no tax money coming in. And so what lots of school districts will do is spend every dollar they have coming in, and then graduation hits in June, and they have no money left, and they short-term borrow to get back to January, and then pay back that interest on those loans to run their district. And that's what we used to have to do until the previous board started a very fiscally responsibly putting money away into fund balance so that we could save up enough money that we could pay our bills and dwindle it down to next to nothing, and then until tax revenue comes back in. And so fiscal responsibility has been a hallmark of this district for a very long time, and I'm very proud of the effort that we've done there. And then the rest of what we do with it, it's like, how much do you need to put into fund balance versus what do you put away for capital expenditures, and that's that Fund 46. And when they started Fund 46, you weren't allowed to use it for 5 years. Now we're allowed to use it, but it's like cookie jar. How do you keep your hands out of it? Because you want to keep saving it for a catastrophic event, or do you want to use it for nice to haves? And so those are the kind of decisions the boards needs to make. The boiler is a very real project. It's a 2-year project. You can't just say, okay, summertime, let's replace the boiler, because you have to take out all of the ductwork throughout the whole building, which would make you replace all the ceilings within the whole building. It's a 2-year phased out project to do. So this is a legit challenge, regardless if you have the money or not, to even perform operationally. By amount of time, I'll talk forever. But anyway, I love construction. Yeah, and so that's really what we're at about $6 million in Ford 46. So at least what we're doing is showing the public that, hey, we saved up this much, and then if you go out to referendum, at least just show you tried.
Now that we've thoroughly scared the taxpayers on that question.
Yeah, no
Not scary.
That's awesome. No, and obviously a lot of good questions, and I want to thank everyone again that put in effort into putting those questions together. So now we're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna have a lightning round of questions. So one of the goals that I came together to put this event together was try to get as many on the spot answers from the candidates, because we don't get to do that. In years past, we maybe got 2 or 3 questions, and then we went home. The newspaper might ask you 2 or 3 questions, and that's all you get. We don't get all the answers we want. We're probably still not going to get them all tonight, but I think it's been good so far. So the rules are basically one or two word answers. Might be yes, might be no. We'll have some fun with it, okay?
Oh, scared me.
Yeah, and I'm asking the questions on this one. So, all right, lightning round, and we'll. Jim, you have to start because we finish with you.
Okay.
Should Meadowview be sold or kept?
Sold.
Sold. Sold.
So,
All right, that's the easy one. Number 2, could you support a board decision you did not vote in favor of? Yes or no?
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If the next budget has a surplus, do we apply to the fund balance, basically debt operations, or Fund 46, like we were just talking about, saving for future capital expenditures? So next budget has a surplus, where do we put it?
Sorry.
Both, that's right, so both.
Yeah, I mean, prices go up every year, so you've got to keep increasing fund balance, at least for the prices that you've got to cover for that period of time I explained.
Okay, Alex.
So the rest of the fund force.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Both.
Okay. Okay, Jim bailed you guys out.
Really did.
I mean, he's on the finance committee, so you should know what he talks about. All right. Do you think a social media presence may influence your social media presence? May influence how people respond to you or how they work with you?
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
Yes.
It has.
All right. What is the most important issue that motivates you to serve on the Board of Education or might serve on the Board of Education? Most important issue to you serving on the board, motivating you?
Strategic plan.
Representing the taxpayers.
Kids.
Children.
Okay, excellent, thank you. What are 2 top qualities that a new superintendent should possess?
Leadership and listening ability.
Oh, I have to pick just 1 or 2.
2, you get 2.
Organization and communication.
I would say the willingness to hear the parents and excellent leadership amongst the kids.
Team builder and strategic.
Excellent. What is an area of strength, in your opinion, within the Oconomowoc school system today? Area of strength.
Strengths are
You kind of just said one before, so.
I know, well, our financial strength is amazing, actually. I'll go
Go
financial.
with that one?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with strategic plan.
Okay.
I know.
This is fun.
I know. Team culture.
I think we have amazing teachers and staff.
All right, this is a good one. As a school board member, from whom will you seek advice or input in weighing key decisions?
Constituents and our administration.
Yeah. Same. Constituents and admin.
I absolutely agree.
Usually
I
it's
concur.
my angry brother.
True.
Yeah, too true. He's a constituent, he lives in town.
All right, in the past few years, conservative budgeting by the district has allowed an opportunity to save, I think it's actually near $6 million for future capital expenditures. And this is what we were talking about in this Fund 46. It's a lot of money. Is this a practice you would continue to support, yes or no?
Oh, yes.
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 So the board serves as the jury in expulsions and other high-level complaints leveled at district or employees of the district. Do you think you'll be able to make an impartial and fact-based decision in one of these scenarios?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For sure. My favorite as an alum of the district, Cooney or raccoons? It's a loaded question. Cooney or raccoons?
Oh, the names are really good.
No, he started here.
Cooney, sure.
Giving
Giving up my
I'm
shine.
hearing Cooney, so I'll go with that. I listen
Lot
to the
of
parents.
old timers.
I listen to the taxpayers, they said Cooney.
All right.
Can I do both? My kids are raccoons, my husband's a Cooney.
I
I still have a shirt that says Cooney, so I'll go with Cooney.
Undecided, okay.
The room is telling me Cooney, but my kids here is all red.
All right, good. We had a little fun with that one. All right, and the final lightning round question, and we are like dead on 90 minutes, and that was my goal. So the final question, and then we'll give these folks an opportunity to give their closing remarks. As you, I think, have all indicated somewhere through the night, responding to constituents and the public is important. What do you prefer? Email, phone, or in person?
In person.
I love in person, practicality, phone.
You know, it depends on the person. I think if Jessica wanted to talk, I'd say, could you put it in an email?
That's probably a good idea.
I've spent.
Honesty. Yeah.
I've spent since the day I filed to run, I've spent my time in the community getting to know a lot of people, and I've really, really enjoyed it. So I go with in person.
I like going in person.
Awesome. Great. So before we let these candidates who've done a great job this evening give their final remarks, I'm going to say a few thank yous first and foremost. Thank you to everyone who joined us this evening in the room, and as well, Jess, how many people joined us online tonight?
We peaked at about 75, 80.
All right, awesome. So that's incredible. And as I said a little bit earlier, when we opened it, it's our responsibility as a community. These guys have to do the hard work and sit through a lot of meetings and deal with a lot of stuff that a lot of us aren't willing to do. But it's our job to do this work and to go vote and to elect them. So we need to do our jobs. We need to be involved with our students, with our community, and hold up our end of the bargain as well too. So it's not all on their shoulders all the time. It's on ours as well too. And the best thing we can do here, April 6th, did I get that right? I think so. We need to show up at the polls and we need to vote. This is an important election. So whoever you're voting for, we get to pick 3. You need to show up and vote because then you get a chance to have a voice in this process. So I also want to thank the folks that helped put this all together tonight, Oconomowoc citizens represented in the live stream. Once again, Mr. Sutner and Cornerstone and all the staff here, they did an awesome job getting the room set up for us. Super great price on the deal to get the room, so we appreciate that. So go buy drinks and food later, please.
Taco Thursday.
Yeah, it's Taco Thursday, yes. And again, thanks to our moderators that helped this evening, the folks from Young Republicans and our students from GSA. So hopefully the live stream's been going well. I haven't heard too many feedbacks, so that's good. It will also be recorded and placed out there on probably on Facebook, maybe on our website as well too. So watch for information on that getting out. So if you want to go back and relive all these wonderful moments, you can do that. Or if you want to share it with folks that maybe couldn't make it tonight, it was recorded. So without further ado, we'll let these folks give us their closing remarks. You get the podium. Start here with Matt.
All right. Oh, I finally get to stand up.
You do.
I'm used to walking when I talk. So, you know, in my final remarks, I think what I'd like to say is 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, my wife and my family and I, we chose Oconomowoc. We've lived in a lot of towns since we started here and since I opened my business up. And I actually told Greg, who's sitting over in the office, in 20 years of living in the area for the first time, Oconomowoc is where we call home. You know, when we say we're going home, it's here. It's not back to where we were from. So I think we have a very great community. I think we have amazing schools, and I want to do my part to give back to the community that that we now call home. So I hope that I've been able to answer some of your questions and at least give you somewhat of an insight into who I am and why I'm doing this. So thank you for coming. I'd like to thank all my other potential board members and thank you guys for putting this on.
So standing at a podium is not my forte, just letting you know. I much prefer sitting or talking, but thank you guys for coming. This is the first forum that I've had in 6 years where it's really been a community interaction and engagement. So just thank you, and thank you, Neal, for putting this all together. I really am hopeful for this year, for this election, for the upcoming elections, and just I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with the community, to have them engaged, to be able to be part of the process, because it's really very fulfilling. And I've always taken this role very humbly. I am absolutely honored to be part of the board, and I would love nothing more than just to keep serving you guys and keep doing what's best for kids. So I hope that you find that in me. And if not, that's okay too. There's other great candidates out here. But I will run next year, just so you know.
I also would like to thank everybody. I thought it was a great debate. I think it was very civil. Nobody fought, which is always a good thing. I'm not going to talk for long. I'm freezing cold. I'm just going to say thank you, and please vote for me. And there's some material about me on the back table if you have any more questions.
2 minutes.
2 minutes? Can I bank it? Can I bank any? No. So I can't attack anybody, I can't use anything. So, no, I really want to thank you guys for coming and making it a very inclusive event. Lots of good questions. I really want to point out Oconomowoc citizens represented for putting this on and thanking them, because they got involved. They got really involved when this all went down, and it takes a lot to hold a school board member accountable, and we learned that this year, because there's really, as a taxpayer, there's nothing you can do. Once you elect us on the board, they put you through a process. If you want to change your mind, that you got to pretty much treat us like we're mayor or like a representative, and you need to go collect 25% of the votes that were cast for the governor that year to get rid of somebody, and to hold them accountable that they're not following the vision of the community anymore. And usually school board elections come by in the spring and nobody goes, and someone gets elected with like 2,500 to 3,000 votes. And so to force them to go out and get 7,000 signatures to get rid of someone who got on the board with 2,500 votes, that's a tall task. So I appreciate them at least engaging, and then not quitting after the engaging and saying, well, we tried to do that and then just going away. Instead, they reshifted their focus to become a platform of what's out there in the community and what true thoughts are, and started getting engaged this way. So I really wanted to point out that is an awesome organization. I really hope that keeps going year over year, beyond just this year, beyond this school board election and all the free walks that Lou's getting this year. He doesn't even have candidates going against him. Yeah, change of pace for you. So, but no, I appreciate them doing that. Again, I'm running again. I'm doing it for my kids. I appreciate the support. I get some of it on the Facebook. Open to meeting with anybody, talking things through. Really just looking to kind of pull together, find 3 trustees to kind of change the focus of this board so that we're not in the district's management business anymore, that we're in the community leadership business as a school board. So I'm James Wood.
Awesome. Once again, thanks for everyone. April 6th, get involved and go vote.